Hello, law enforcement torch run family. My name is Jimmy Johnson. I'm a federal law enforcement officer of 18 years, and I'm fortunate to serve as the state director for Letr Alaska, the immediate past chair on the board of directors for Special Olympics Alaska, and longtime volunteer for SO and LATR. Over my time with the LATR, I've had the pleasure to meet and volunteer with law enforcement officers from all over the globe. Specific to the United States, the vast majority of these guardians have been from our state and local departments. Though I know they are out there, our federal partners are generally underrepresented. They are a substantially untapped resource for the LATR movement in many areas, especially our larger communities, but even our smallest and most remote. This is, of course, not due to lack of trying on behalf of our local programs or the desire of these federal officers to volunteer, but our federal partners are significantly weighed down with rules and regulations like the Combined Federal Campaign, which dictates what they can and cannot do while on duty, on their personal time, and especially while flying the flag of their agencies during fundraising events. Even with the individual agencies, certain divisions can strictly forbid any outside volunteer work, especially those involved in fundraising, while having any connection to their employment. Many of us do see teams sporting U.S. Marshal shirts, FBI, DEA, ATF. They are out there, but generally their involvement stops there. Thankfully, the reason I'm talking to you now is that there is a way to increase their involvement without getting them in trouble. The United States has over 65 federal law enforcement agencies, and it's nearly guaranteed that there is at least one, if not thousands, of federal officers in your town and city. While their employment can greatly limit their involvement, many of these officers are members of an organization called the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, commonly referred to as FLEOA. FLEOA is the largest nonpartisan, nonprofit professional organization exclusively representing federal law enforcement officers. FLEOA represents more than 26,000 federal law enforcement officers in all 65 agencies. FLEOA is structured through chapters with at least one in every state. This is important because being a member of FLEOA allows those federal officers to participate in a much broader range of activities under the flag of FLEOA instead of their individual agencies. In fact, in order to maintain an active chapter, they are required to hold 3 FLEOA events a year. As the chapter president for Alaska, most of our chapter events align with FLEOA events. So as a chapter, we support the torch run, polar plunge, and the auction, with the rest of the year filled with encouragement to stay involved, volunteer, and assist with fundraising efforts as members of FLEOA. In addition to the obvious benefit of more Guardians of the Flame for your program, active FLEOA programs traditionally have a regular annual budget that is used to provide funding for chapter activities, to include funding of FLEOA teams at LATR events. Of course, just like any other organization, some chapters are stronger than others, so there have been situations where support for the LATR has been difficult. As a chapter president with FLEOA and the LATR state director, I was in a unique position to help bridge the gap between these two organizations. And through coordination with the FLEOA National Executive Leadership, they have placed their Vice President of Agency Affairs as the FLEOA liaison to LATR. This individual, as well as your local chapter presidents, will be a great support network to assist your LATR programs in recruiting and retaining federal officers to the cause. With all that said, the design and structure of FLEOA was not intended for this purpose. FLEOA was designed to support federal law enforcement officers through legal assistance and congressional affairs. Through the drive of the good men and women that make up the federal law enforcement community, FLEOA has seen a greater push for community support from its members. In a dedicated effort to pursue this, a standalone group of FLEOA members has created Blue Hearts for Heroes. This group is a nonprofit specifically designed to assist law enforcement officers who have children with ID. With a very closely related mission to the LATR, Blue Hearts for Heroes is another fantastic partnership in the making to help bring together officers from all levels of law enforcement to support those with ID. Blue Hearts for Heroes are very well aware of the LATR and are excited to help support. Engagement with FLEOA can be a little tricky unless you already have federal law enforcement officers as guardians who also happen to be members of FLEOA. A great starting point can be found at fleoa.org, where there is a wealth of information on the organization itself, as well as national level contact information. Since the list of chapter and agency presidents is not available to the public, there are some general contact methods listed on the site. But until the FLEOA liaison is fully up to speed, I am more than happy to volunteer myself as the POC for any director who would like to reach out, and I can help introduce you to the local FLEOA chapter leadership. If there's anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to email me at letralaska@gmail.com. That's how you tap the resource. The retention is just like anything else. Embrace your federal partners. Invite them to program functions beyond the events and get them involved. Just like many of you listening to this, sometimes just a little exposure to the LATR and the amazing athletes that we serve is all that it takes to make a guardian for life. As a guardian of the flame, and on behalf of my fellow law enforcement officers, thank you for the opportunity to share. I hope this is helpful in growing your programs. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.